Welcome to another episode of Branching Out with F&M Bank. I'm your host, Mary Pavlovskaya, and I'm excited to be joined by Tristan Napotnik, co-owner and co-founder of Elkton Brewing Company. Thanks for joining me, Tristan.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to be here today. I love the space that you guys have. I love what you've done with it and the company itself. So tell me a little bit about how Elkton Brewing Company got started. How did this whole business come about?
We've been here for a long time. Elkton's always been my hometown. And so really the idea of the brewery came about. My oldest brother, he has been home brewing for a long time, 14 years or so now, and he would brew batches of beer for large gatherings at our family farm, and just became really popular, and so we always toyed with this idea. And then we had this opportunity. We've had this building for a long time, and we had the opportunity to jump on it in 2019. And so we decided to make it happen. And we've always wanted to do something here community-based in Elkton, because there really for a long time there hadn't been a gathering place or something that drew people. And we hoped that we could change that with this idea. And we started to go down that road in early 2019, and then 2020 came and we opened up. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think you guys have done a phenomenal job when you say about a meeting space.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people in Elkton and outside of Elkton, Massanutten, people who are visiting, love to come and stay here and enjoy company with their friends, because it is a beautiful space. But also tell me a little bit about the inspiration for Elkton Brewing, because the sign behind us is very interesting. So I'm curious to learn about what brought that up.
Sure. So, I mean, the name was, we unanimously agreed on the name just to offer tribute to our hometown. So the logo, though, that was something that I designed after a lot of back and forth with different concepts. Upstairs, we have a conference room with an elk skull appropriately over the mantle. And one day I looked at it and envisioned the words between the antlers, and then it worked out really well. But again, obviously the symbol, the elk skull, part of the Elkton name, we just, again, wanted our brand to be something that was focused on this town, not just like an inside story or something like that. We wanted it to have that local appeal. So. And
you've done so well with that, and I understand a lot of your names for your beers come from either local folklore or stories. So tell me how you come up with those, because those are usually fairly interesting.
So how I come up with those names is all over the place. From hearing local stories across the bar, to my own experiences in the area growing up here. And that was another one of those things that was important to us. We wanted each beer name to have something that when locals came in, it had an appeal, a familiarity, something that when they came in, this felt like, oh, this is home, but also something that would generate talk and stories. And we've had several beer names, some maybe controversial, but that definitely drew out all kinds of stories that I had never even heard, which inspired even more names for other beers, some that we haven't used yet. We have a pretty large ongoing and developing list of beer names.
That's right. You had mentioned something about you had almost 200 names that you use. Are those just pulled from conversations you're having with some of your patrons, or do you go through a book of Elkton history?
Well, yeah, actually, really a lot of the names are historical. They're rooted in stories, whether it's stories that I hear from patrons that come in, or Google searching, literally trying to figure out like what's the background to the name of Bearlithia Springs or Reddish Knob. There's so many landmarks that everyone in the area knows about. And so the idea with the research on the names is, again, to have a creative way of naming a beer that's just a little snippet of a bigger story. And like even Store of 1812 is one of our popular multi-beers right now. And 1812 is when Conrad's store was built, which is what Elkton used to be called for a long time. And a lot of people don't know that this used to be called Conrad's store on a map. And then it eventually became Elkton. But Store of 1812, it's a play on words. War of 1812 it's an English beer. And so anyway, so things like that. I have all kinds of rabbit trails for beer names, and yeah.
It's awesome. It's like you can come in for a beer and also learn some history.
Sure.
So, multifaceted experience.
Right. I'm not sure that's why anyone comes in, but it's a great side effect.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you had mentioned something that I want to get into a little bit in our next video, but you guys opened up Elkton Brewing Co., as I understand it, a couple of months before the pandemic hit in 2020?
Actually, just 3 weeks. Yeah.
Wow,
So,
okay.
yeah, we opened up third week of February, and the tap room was open, and we sort of intended to do a soft opening. We didn't advertise it at all. We wanted to ease into it and kind of get used to things. But it only took a matter of a few days for word to spread. Our first weekend, we were busting at the seams in here and having trouble keeping up with slinging beers. And but then, after that, and when we had to shut down, it was like being forced into a prolonged soft opening phase. So in some ways, we're grateful for having the opportunity to step back and reevaluate. But yeah, it was definitely a shock to go from, all right, boom, we're starting, to wait, stop. And
yeah, that was a lot of the industry experienced that. So I really want to get into what you guys did, how you became so successful, and we'll touch that on the next video. But thanks for coming in, Tristan.
Of course.
Well, actually, I came in.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for coming in.
Absolutely, but we'll catch up next time.
Awesome.
So thank you for joining us for another episode of Branching Out with F&M Bank.